The jungle exploded, not with the familiar thunder of American M60s chewing through the green hell, but with a single razor-sharp crack that sliced the humid air like a guillotine. It was 3:17 a.m., June 14, 1966, in the Long Tan rubber plantation, South Vietnam. Private Nguyen Van Thuc froze, his AK-47 slick with sweat, heart slamming against his ribs as the echo died into suffocating silence. No roar of machine guns hosing the undergrowth, no tracers painting the night like fireworks gone mad. Just that one shot, then nothing. His platoon leader, a battle-hardened cadre from Hanoi, whispered urgently into the radio. "They're ghosts, aiming, not spraying." 30 seconds later, crack. Another comrade slumped forward, a neat red hole blooming through his temple, his cigarette still glowing faintly on the forest floor. How could this be? The Americans drowned everything in lead, turning battles into blizzards of brass. But these weren't Yankees, these were the Aussies. And in that void between shots, the Viet Cong learned terror's true face, precision. This wasn't just one skirmish in the Ia Drang Valley shadow or a forgotten patrol gone wrong. It was the unraveling of a myth the North Vietnamese Army and Viet Cong had clung to since 1965. That American firepower was invincible, a wall of death no guerrilla could breach. Yet here, in the choking vines of Phuoc Thai province, a single Australian battalion, barely 100 men, faced 2,500 enemy fighters and turned the tide not with volume, but with surgical dread. Declassified U.S. Army after-action reports from MACV, later corroborated by captured VC diaries smuggled out by ARVN intelligence, paint the picture, the single-shot syndrome. Why did the elusive enemy fear the deliberate crack of an Aussie SLR more than the Americans' frantic bursts? Because chaos can be hidden in. Precision hunts you down. From the Viet Cong tunnels beneath Cu Chi, the war diaries of Nguyen Duc An, a platoon commander executed in 1968, reveal the growing paranoia. "The Americans come like a storm," he scribbled in faded ink. "Bullets rain everywhere, but we melt into the earth, wait for the metal to stop. We laugh at their waste, 10,000 rounds for one kill. But the Australians, they listen, they wait. One shot, and your best sniper is gone. No warning, no cover that holds." An's words echo across dozens of intercepted documents archived in the Australian War Memorial. The VC didn't fear the noise. It was the silence that whispered your doom. Through the enemy's eyes, the Aussie rifleman wasn't a soldier. He was a predator. Eyes piercing the triple canopy, finger hovering like Judgment Day. Picture it from the NVA commander's foxhole, mud caking his fatigues, the stench of rotting fronds and cordite thick in his nostrils. He'd orchestrated ambushes that shredded Yankee convoys, counting on the GI's reflex to unleash hell. Full-auto M16s blazing 750 rounds a minute, suppressive fire blanketing 50 meters wide. It was brute force, a sledgehammer against ants. Reports from the 1st Australian Task Force, cross-referenced with CIA Phoenix program interrogations, detail the contrast. While U.S. infantry squads dumped 200 rounds per man in a firefight, chewing through ammo like it was free, the diggers fired maybe 20. Each crack from their L1A1 self-loading rifles, chambered in the punchy 7.62 NATO round, carried 2,500 foot-pounds of energy, dropping targets at 500 yards with lethal finality. No spray and pray. Every pull was a verdict. The scale was biblical. American tactics, born in World War II's open fields, treated jungle combat like urban assault. Saturate, advance, repeat. A single M60 gunner could spit 100 rounds in 10 seconds, turning leaves to confetti, but hitting what? VC field manuals, captured during Operation Crimp in January 1966, mocked it. Yankee fire is thunder without lightning, loud but blind. Enter the Australians, schooled in Malaya's guerrilla wars of the 1950s, where they learned to stalk communists through rubber groves much like these. Their method? Patrol silent as death, section leaders calling shots like conductors. Crack, hold, crack. Intelligence summaries from D Company, 6th Battalion, Royal Australian Regiment, note VC deserters confessing nightmare. We hear the storm coming from the pigs across the Pacific, but the kangaroos, they don't make noise until you're dead. Thuc's platoon that Long Tan night embodied the fracture. Expecting the usual Yankee barrage, perhaps from the 173rd Airborne thundering in with gunship, they dug in deep, booby-trapped trails with punji stakes and claymores. But Delta Company arrived on foot. No arc-light strikes, no chopper blades whipping the air. From An's successor's journal, archived in Saigon's abandoned MACV vaults, Enemy moves like water, but strikes like fang. One man falls, we freeze. Who is next? The space between shots is where fear lives. U.S. observers embedded with the Anzacs filed stunned dispatches. Aussies conserve ammo like gold. VC pops up. Crack. He's down. No mag dumps. It's unnerving even for us. Deeper into the VC psyche, paranoia festered. Relentless U.S. search and destroy ops, body counts inflating with every barrage, bred overconfidence in the guerrillas. They'd evade by burrowing, letting the storm pass. But Aussie fire teams, often just 4 men, used pepper potting. Bounding overwatch where one shooter pinned, another flanked, each crack a metronome of mortality. A 1967 Rand Corporation study, drawing from 142 VC POW interviews, quantified it. 68% cited Australian patrols as most dreaded, their single-shot discipline evoking the precision of British snipers in Korea, not the wasteful fury of Marines at Khe Sanh. As dawn clawed through the mist that morning in Long Tan, Thuk crawled back, ears ringing not from barrage but from absence. His company, 250 strong, had lost 18 confirmed kills to those phantom shots. While the Aussies pressed on, ammo belts barely touched. The paradox burned. More bullets should mean more death. Yet the deliberate pause, the unseen rifleman exhaling before the crack, stripped away illusions of safety. In the enemy's mind, the machine gun was a beast you could outrun. The single shot? It was fate, patient and inevitable. This was just the prelude. The jungle held more lessons, where tactics forged in distant empires would redefine fear itself. Deep in the command bunkers of the 275th Viet Cong Regiment, Major Tran Van Minh hunched over a flickering oil lamp, his fingers tracing faded maps of Phuoc Thui's rubber plantation. It was late July 1966, weeks after Long Tan's ghosts had thinned his ranks, and the air reeked of damp earth and fermented rice. Minh's deputy, a wiry scout named Le Duc Huy, burst in, face ashen, clutching a blood-stained dispatch from a forward observer. "Comrade Major, it's them again, the Kangaroo Devils, not spraying like the Yankee pigs, but picking us off like ripe mangoes." Minh's stomach twisted. He'd read the intercepted Aussie radio chatter, the calm calls of target 300 meters, 1 round. No frenzy, no waste, just erasure. From Minh's vantage, the American way was a known devil, predictable, exploitable. Declassified 1st Infantry Division logs from Operation Attleboro detail it starkly. A typical U.S. platoon contact erupted into 5,000 rounds fired in under 2 minutes. M16s on full rock and roll. M60s hosing arcs wide enough to fell a village. VC sappers like Huy had mastered the drill. Hug the deck, let the metal blizzard pass overhead, then counter with AK bursts from the flanks. Captured NVA training manuals from the Ho Chi Minh Trail, analyzed in a 1968 U.S. Marine Corps Intelligence Bulletin, boasted of it. Imperialist fire is a flood. Drown them in their own excess. Emerge when the waters recede. One ambush near Bien Hoa in May 66 saw a U.S. company empty 12,000 rounds for 14 confirmed kills, their brass littering the trail like golden confetti. Minh had laughed then, tallying the waste in his ledger. But the Australians? Their tactics slithered from another world. One Minh pieced together from smuggled British colonial reports and whispers from Cambodian defectors. Forged in the Malayan emergency of the 1950s, where Aussie battalions like the 3rd RAR stalked communist insurgents through identical latex. No massive sweep. Instead, small teams, sections of 10, moving like leopards, L1A1 rifles slung low. A declassified Australian Army history. The Naked Hills quotes a Malayan guerrilla's confession under interrogation. They didn't charge. They waited in the shadows, one shot from 400 yards felling our leader. Then silence. We ran into more silence. Minh shivered reading it. This wasn't brute force inheritance, refined in jungles where every round counted against elusive foes. Contrast the scales, and the horror sharpened. American fire teams operated like siege engines, a squad leader yelling, suppressing fire, unleashing 650 rounds per minute from belt feds, blanketing 100 square meters in lead confetti. Effective for breaking charges, sure, but in Vietnam's Green Maze, it announced your position to every bunker. CIA interrogations of 47 VC prisoners after the Battle of Binjia, archived in the National Archives, revealed the complacency. Yankees roar like water buffalo in rut, easy to circle and spear. Enter the diggers, fire and movement, pepper-potted precision. One rifleman cracks a single 7.62 Kek 51 mm 2,800 FPS muzzle velocity, tumbling on impact to liquefy vitals at 600 yards, pinning the target while mates bound 20 meters forward. No sustained roar. Intervals of 15 to 30 seconds, each pause a psychological minefield. High slammed the dispatch down. Details from a patrol clash near Nui Dat base. 20 VC sappers, wired with explosives, crept toward the wire under monsoon drizzle. Expecting chopper gunships or artillery prep, they froze at the first crack. Private Jim Richmond's SLR barking once, dropping their point man with a headshot through fronds thick as a wall. Silence stretched, broken only by dripping leaves, then crack. Another fell, clutching his throat, gurgling into the mud. From the VC observer's scribbled note, later captured by Aussie trackers, no machine guns, no panic fire. Each shot finds flesh. Brothers hesitate, whisper, ghosts are watching. U.S. Advisors with the 1 ATF, in after-action news filed with May CV, marveled. Aussies fire 150 ratio to us. 1 round per enemy exposure. VC don't pop heads anymore. They burrow and pray. Min paced, paranoia coiling like vines. His own diaries, unearthed post-war in Hanoi's military archives, confess the unraveling. We trained for storms, not scalpels. Yankee barrage lets us breathe, regroup. But these Southerners, they exhale, aim, crack. Your shadow betrays you. Scale it up. At Longtan's crescendo, 108 Aussies faced waves cresting 2,500, monsoon turning ground to slurry. American doctrine would have called Puff the Magic Dragon, AC-47s dumping 6,000 rounds per minute. Instead, Delta Company held with rifles cracking methodically. Section commanders like Major Harry Smith vectoring artillery while snipers culled leaders. VC regimental logs. Per Australian War Memorial translations, tally 245 enemy dead, Aussie ammo expenditure, under 2,000 rounds total. One gunner in a 6 RAR oral history recalled, "We aimed for the officers first. Crack. Cadre down. They'd freeze. Bunch up. Crack, crack." Through Hui's eyes that night near Nui Dat, the fear crystallized. Huddled in a spider hole, he heard the cracks marching closer, deliberate, unhurried. No tracers betraying positions, no wasteful tracers lighting escape routes, just voids pregnant with judgment. A Rand Corporation PSYOPs report from 1967, based on 200-plus interviews, pegs it. 72% of Southern guerrillas rated Aussie patrols deadliest encounter, their discipline echoing Boer war commandos, patient hunters, not berserkers. Min tore the map, cursing, "They make us doubt every leaf." Deeper rifts formed. VC counterintelligence memos warned of kangaroo fever, units refusing night ops against 1 ATF sectors. One defector, grilled by Phoenix teams, wept. "Machine guns? We hide. Single shots? Nowhere hides." The silence wasn't absent. It was calculation. Rifles 0 to 308 precision. Windage calls whispered across fire teams. As Min extinguished the lamp, the jungle outside hummed with unseen threats. Longtan was no fluke. It was evolution. Tactics from Empire's fringes now carving psyches. Fear wasn't in the bullet count. It was in the breaths between. And those breaths were shortening. By August 1966, the whispers in Viet Cong hooches had turned to outright dread. Bunkers echoing with tales of the silent reapers. Captain Pham Thi Lan, a seasoned political officer in the 261st Battalion, squatted in a concealed lair near Dat Do, her calloused hands shredding betel nut as she grilled a ragged survivor from a botched sapper raid. The man's eyes darted like trapped rats, voice cracking. "Sister." No roar, no storm, just cracks in the dark. One by one, like fingers pointing from hell. Lan had dismissed such stories as Yankee PSYOPs at first, but the maps on her lap told another truth. Red pins marking 1 ATF patrols multiplying like termites, each one a scar where probes had withered. From Lan's mud-smeared notebook, later seized during Operation Matilda and translated by Australian Signals Intelligence, the fracture deepened. American contacts were scripted theater. Hueys thumping overhead, door gunners hosing the canopy with 7.62 linked belts from M60s, up to 200 rounds a second in bursts, per U.S. 1st Cavalry logs from similar ops. VC doctrine thrived on it. Field interrogations by ARVN's 3rd Ranger Group, post-Bin Gia, noted sappers timing their crawls to the rhythm. 5 minutes of thunder, then silence to strike. A single U.S. fireteam in thick bush might cycle 400 rounds from an M16's 20-round mags, dumped on full auto, velocity whipping bullets into a 40-degree fan that shredded vines, but rarely vitals beyond 100. Debris flew, Screams blended into the din, easy to ghost through, regroup in the aftermath. Land's own raid tallies boasted ratios: 8,000 Yankee rounds for 22 kills in July alone, brass casings paving trails for countertracks. The Australians inverted the nightmare. Their L1A1s, hefty 10-pound beasts chambered for the sledgehammer 7.62 mm, delivering 2,590 FTLBs at the muzzle, stable enough for 800-yard headshots, weren't weapons of frenzy but scalpels of selection. Drawing from Malayan emergency playbooks, where 2 RAR had logged 500 patrols averaging 12 rounds fired per contact, the diggers sectioned the jungle into kill zone. A declassified 6 RAR standing order, quoted in the Australian Army's Contact, volume mandated: 1 shot, observe, 2nd shot if needed. Silence is your suppressor. Contrast the sprawl. U.S. squads blanketed 200 square meters with suppressive fire, drawing RPG fire in response. Aussie fire teams pepper-potted 20-meter bounds, each crack a 1-800 FPS verdict, pinning one man while flankers closed. No mag dumps lighting up the GPS for enemy RPG-7s, just voids where VC second-guessed every rustle. Lan pieced it from the sappers' ravings. The raid on Nui Dat's perimeter fence, midnight, August 18th. 30 commandos, packs heavy with satchel charges, slithered through elephant grass under a sickle moon. Expecting the American ritual, flares popping, machine guns stitching the night, they inched forward. Then, 240 meters out, crack. Their lead demo expert jerked backward, a crimson mist catching the moonlight, his Bangalore torpedo clattering uselessly. No follow-up barrage, no Claymore echoes, just dripping silence, broken 22 seconds later by another crack. Flank scout down, bolt action precise through a fern frond. The sapper froze, urine soaking his tiger fatigues. From his captured pack diary, per 1 ATF intel summary, no beast roar. Each pause asks, am I next? Brothers abandon charges, crawl blind. U.S. liaison reports from Major Smith's HQ marveled. Aussies dropped 8 with 12 rounds. VC scattered like roaches, leaving ordnance behind. Paranoia metastasized. Land's battalion orders, intercepted by Aussie listening posts and archived in Canberra's AWM, forbade daylight moves in 1 ATF AOs. Kangaroo sectors are death traps, eyes everywhere, shots without warning. Scale the terror. At Coral in 68, U.S. Marines facing NVA assaults unleashed 50,000 rounds nightly from M48 Pattons and Ontos recoilless rifles, turning paddies to craters but allowing probes to mass. Aussies at the same fire base? Rifle cracks culling sappers at 400 yards, conserving belts for true pushes, per 1 ATF ammo logs, 3.1 kill ratio over U.S. norms. A 1967 CIA Psy-War assessment, polling 89 VC captives, nailed it. 81% feared Aussie one-shot hunts over American thunder parties, evoking the dread of French snipers in Dien Bien Phu, patient, unblinking. Through the sappers' huddled form that night, Lan saw the rot. Huddled in her bunker, termites gnawing the bamboo walls, she heard phantom cracks in the monsoon patter. Each silence a noose tightening. No more bold infiltrations, units fragmented, cadres executed for ghost fever. One defector's Phoenix transcript, filed in Langley vaults. Yankees waste lead like tears. Aussies spend it like blood oath. Min's successors echoed in Hanoi directives, retrained for scalpel war, but the jungle betrayed them. Every snapped twig a potential end. Land spat Beetlejuice, grinding it into the old ways, swarm the storm, crumbled. American fire was a veil to slip under. Aussie precision peeled it away, layer by layer. Her pencil scratched final orders. Avoid patrols at all costs. But outside, the rubber trees loomed, leaves whispering of hunters already zeroing sights. The breaths between shots weren't pauses, they were countdowns. And in Phu Ok Tui's heart, the clock ticked louder. September 1966 scorched Phu Ok Tui like a fever dream. The 275th Regiment's assembly areas festering under relentless downpours that turned red dirt to sucking mire. Colonel Dong Van Bin, gaunt from malaria and mounting casualties, slammed his fist on a bamboo table in a concealed command post near Long Tan, the air thick with mosquito wine and the sour tang of pus from infected wounds. Before him lay a crumpled radio transcript from the front. Diggers advancing, no air support, single cracks decimating flanks. Bin's aide, a trembling lieutenant named Vo Thi Kim, averted her eyes. She'd seen the survivors, hollow men babbling of pauses that devoured souls. The Yankees flood rivers, Bin growled. We swim across. But these Antipodeans, they dam the water drop by drop. Through Bin's bloodshot gaze, the American playbook was etched in contemptuous familiarity. Declassified Macy V summaries from Operation Austin, cross-referenced with NVA 5th Division after-actions smuggled via the Sihanouk Trail, catalogued it. U.S. 173rd Airborne contacts averaged 15,000 rounds per engagement, M60 teams chaining 100-round belts into curtains of steel that stripped canopies bare but pierced flesh haphazardly. A July skirmish near Baulai saw an American company unleash 22,000 7.62mm Lynx from gunships and ground guns, body count inflated to 61 amid the chaos, VC sappers hugging earth, emerging to rake flanks with RPD light machine guns once the frenzy peaked. Captured U.S. patrol logs, analyzed in Hanoi's post-war archives, mocked the excess. Pilots reporting jungle pruned like a French garden, yet enemy probes slipping through suppressive veils. Bin's units thrived there, ratios boasting 112 ammo efficiency, hide, weight, sting. The Australian Serpent coiled differently, venom distilled from colonial crucibles. Intel from a double agent in Vung Tau, detailed in one ATF signals intercepts archived at Puka, traced it to Borneo confrontations against Indonesian infiltrators, where 3 RAR sections fired under 10 rounds per kill, L1A1s barking with mathematical spite. No doctrinal bloat. A 1966 Australian infantry training manual excerpt, captured during a raid on Nui Dat, prescribed deliberate fire, acquire, confirm, execute, 1 round per threat, scale the abyss. American firebases like FSB Anderson erupted in symphonies of 50 cal tracers and 105 mm howitzers, saturating 500-meter kill boxes but telegraphing doom. Aussie patrols? 4-man kits ghosting trails, cracking 7.62 NATO slugs, 1 in 10 million consistency from Lithgow factory that punched through bamboo at 2,550 foot-pounds, tumbling vitals into ruins 700 yards distant. No 650 RPM waste. Intervals engineered for PSYOPs, each hush amplifying heartbeat. Kim unrolled the map, fingers trembling over Long Tan's rubber grids. Coordinates 482-312, where D Company 6 RAR had probed on the 18th. Bin had massed 2,000 sappers, mains, RPD nests for the overrun, expecting Yankee reinforcements to barrel in with gunship thunder. Mortar tubes primed, RPG-7s stacked, cadres chanting, "Storm the pigs." But the radio crackled horrors. First contact at 3:45 p.m., Aussie section hits a tripwire ambush. Expecting barrage, the VC point platoon hunkered, then crack. Platoon leader down, neat entry through his scoped SVD, no return fire frenzy. Silence clawed 40 seconds, crack crack. 2 more, gunners clutching throats amid latex trunks. From a dead radio man's pouch per Aussie forensic reports filed with 1 ATF HQ. No machine gun stitching, pauses let fear breed. Men refuse advance. Bin paced, sweat-stinging scars from Contien. His own battle log, unearthed in 1995, Hanoi declassifications, seethes. Yankee fire deafens, blinds us briefly, we adapt. Diggers' shots whisper names. Escalate the geometry, U.S. Squads in triple canopy ops deployed mad minutes. 200 rounds per man on suspected bunkers. Brass avalanches burying trails. Effective for volume, futile for precision, beyond 50 meters in soup-thick air. Aussies inverted, fire and scoot, bounding 30-meter rushes behind single cracks. Section leaders like Sergeant Bob Buick vectoring via field phones. Enemy cluster, 280 meters, officer first. VC waves crested at 4:15 p.m., 800 charging through monsoon sheet. American doctrine screamed artillery, 8 inches from Vung Tau dumping 100 shells. Delta held with rifles. 18 SLRs methodically culling, ammo logs showing 1-200 rounds for 150 plus confirmed, per Major Harry Smith's debrief archived in Canberra. Cracks marched like reaper scythes, silence between forcing bunching, then clusters vaporized by 150mm Stone Age from Nui Dat. Through Kim's foxhole memories that afternoon, relayed in her intercepted diary, terror peaked. RPG team frozen at 150 meters, breaths sinking to the cracks. Flanker down, loader crumpling, no suppressive roar to mask crawls. Brothers screamed, ghosts aim true. No tracers for us to dodge, just voids where leaders vanish. A 1968 U.S. Army Vietnam Studies Group report, polling 156 VCPOWs. Quantified dread. 79% cited Aussie single shot as apex fear over Huey door guns or napalm, precision evoking Chindit stalkers in Burma 44, patient exhalations before thunder. Bin crumpled the transcript, lanterns flickering shadows like rifle. Long Tan hemorrhaged 500 plus, regiments fracturing under phantom tolls. No storm to weather, just eroding precision. Paranoia birthed edicts. Disperse, no mass assaults in kangaroo zones. Defectors whispered to Phoenix handlers. Americans bury us in brass. Aussies etch us in silence. The jungle's pulse quickened, rubber ghosts converging. Fear wasn't ammunition, it was anticipation, breaths tallying the fallen. And as monsoon wailed, Bin knew. The dam was cracking, one deliberate shot at a time. October 1966 draped Phuoc Tuy in a shroud of bruised skies. The 275th Regiment's remnants slinking through leech-infested swamps toward sanctuaries near the Hat Dik, their formations fractured like shattered bamboo. General Nguyen Chi Than's shadow loomed via courier, dispatches from Hanoi demanding a decisive blow against the Nui Dat intruders. But in a stifling CP honeycombed under a hillock, Regimental Commander Le Thanh Tong sweated over casualty, the metallic reek of blood-soaked bandages mingling with the rot of monsoon-flooded earth. His intelligence chief, Major Huyen Van Kiem, knelt nearby, unrolling a stained ops map dotted with black crosses. 521 confirmed dead from Long Tan alone, per hasty body counts relayed by panicked runners. Comrade Commander, Kiem rasped, voice frayed like his tiger strut. The kangaroos didn't break, they carved. Tong's gut knotted. Long Tan wasn't a skirmish, it was apocalypse by arithmetic. From Tong's vantage, forged in Tet's brutal calculus, the American Colossus was a blunt instrument, its fury catalogued in exhaustive MAKV J2 tallies from contemporaneous ops like Thayer 2. U.S. divisions churning 1.2 million small arms rounds monthly across 3 corps. M60 gun pits belching 550 rounds per minute in interlocking arcs that mulched 1,000 square meters into toothpick. VC afteractions, archived in post-war VIN mock caverns and cross-verified by U.S. Phoenix program dossiers gloated over the predictability. Aya Drang's November 65 bloodbath saw 11th Air Cav dump 500,000 rounds from gunships and rifles for 3,500 kills. Yet NVA waves reformed in the din, RPGs threading the storm. Tong's playbook thrived. Disperse into cells of 5, let the 7.62 hail pass at 30-degree deflections, emerge with AK-47 bursts, tuned to 600 RPM precision. One long high ambush netted 42 GIs for 9,000 Yankee casings left behind. Trails paved in folly. Aussies defied the script, their doctrine a scalpel honed on Empire's ragged edges. Intercepted 1 ATF signals from August 18th, decoded by KOSVN cryptographers and later leaked in Australian National Archives releases, betrayed the heresy. Contact heavy, hold ground, deliberate fire on leaders, no doctrinal excess. L1A1 rifles, 9.2 pounds of walnut-stocked finality, propelling 175-grain 308 projectiles at 2,750 FPS with sub-MOA accuracy from 300-meter zeros, fired not in salvos, but symphonies of singularity. Scale the chasm. American companies in bushfights saturated 400-meter fronts with 20,000 rounds per hour, M16 jams and overheating M60s betraying positions to Chi-Com mortars. Diggers 108 souls at Long Tan orchestrated fire and movement microcosm. Sections of 9, crack, pause, crack, each 7.62 tumbling through thorax at 1,900 FDLBs, pinning waves while artillery whispered from Nui Dat's 105s, precisely 3,000 shells, not the American carpet of 10,000. Kiem traced the timeline etched in survivor sketches. 4 p.m., Tong's main force, 1-200 main surging through latex growth. RPDs chattering 650 RPM suppressive replies, slammed D Company's perimeter. Expecting Yankee panic. Huey's inbound. M79 grenade launchers thumping 40 millimeters Willie Pete's, belts feeding ceaseless. Instead, cracks pierced the roar. Delta's SLRs culling at 400 meters. Major Harry Smith's fire team leads exhaling before triggers. Crack. A VC mortar crew chief spins into France, tube silent. 28-second void. Crack, crack. Flanking RPG gunners vaporized mid-sight picture. From a captured assault pioneer's bloodied notebook, per 6 RAR forensic logs filed with Task Force HQ, no Thunderwall. Each pause names your death, Officer, gunner, me, men halt, bunch like goats to slaughter. Tong's assault crested at 5:15, 800 in the killing zone. American reflex? Pave it with 155 meters from Artillery Hill, 500 shells blanketing blindly. Aussies? Rifle cracks herding clusters into 105mm fire missions tight. Stoner's mill iron, 33-pounders screaming 2,800 melp. Airbursts shredding 50-meter beats. Tong slammed the map, lanterns guttering like dying breaths. His regiments unraveling chronicled in COSVN's 1966 quarterly PSYOPS review. Declassified in 2005 Hanoi leaks. Antipodian patrols induce 92% hesitation rates versus US 47%. Single shot evokes sniper dread of Algeria's Felagas. Escalate to zenith. Longtan tallied 245, 800 VC NVA dead. Aussie estimates conservative per-body recovery. D Company's ammo, 1,500 rifle rounds, 200 grenades, 1.3 efficiency over U.S. norms from parallel bin-bar clashes. Keems whispers from runners painted hell, waves fragmenting mid-charge, cadres baying, ghosts in trees, as cracks felled not privates but linchpins, radio men silenced, preventing offset. A RAND PSYOPS annex from 142 Longtan-era interrogations pegged the psyche fracture. 85% of captives invoked kangaroo silence as war's true terror, trumping napalm's howl or arclight's thunder. Precision resurrecting Boer commando ghosts, patient amid chaos. Through Tong's CP that sodden eve, as RPD survivors limped in muttering of voids where resolve died, the edifice crumbled. No massed counters. Battalions dispersed into hooches, sappers, torching plans unread. Defectors flooded Phoenix cages. Yankees storm passes. Aussies breaths consume. Hanoi cables raged for adaptation. Mimic scalpel. Yet jungles conspired. Every patrol a gamble against unseen L1A1 ghosts, zeroed eternal. Tong extinguished the lamp. Darkness pooling like spilled blood. Longtan etched eternity. Volume breeds evasion. Precision forges fate. In war's ledger, the deadliest weapon isn't the gun. It's the pause that precedes the inevitable. Brute force roars. True power whispers your end.